All right, boys. It looks like we got a little action. We got a little action. Eric Bieniemy, he's back. Oh, EB is back. Oh, Eric is back. Listen, I clearly don't mind it. And I think a big reason I don't mind it, and it really blows me away that other people like the biggest thing, and I'm getting right into it, folks. The biggest thing for me with this offensive coordinator situation, Eric Bieniemy, like if I were to tell you, hey man, Chiefs are bringing in an offensive coordinator, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are 100% behind it. I am floored the amount of people who think this is a mistake. Like from that point of the quarterback you trust, the quarterback and coach that you trusted for 7 to 15 years, like trusted and has done what they've done. They are completely on board with it, and you think it's a mistake. I'm on board. I love it. I love the move. I know a lot of people aren't there, and I'm wondering. I know we're live here, and I'm wondering. Please like and subscribe to Foolish Club. If not, you're a selfish prick. That was a little strong. I didn't mean to call anybody a prick, but don't be selfish. Please like and subscribe right now. Can really help us out. But I just wonder how many people are legit excited and good with the move, and how many people are having to convince and force themselves to get excited. Because I feel like there are people in those camps, and then there are other people who think it's a mistake and are going to probably root against the offense performing well so they can be right. But I just wonder where people are, because I'm excited about the move. I love it.
I would say I'm in the latter. I'm convincing myself to be excited. That being said, I don't dislike the move. So I'm kind of in the middle, right? Like I think there's
So you hate it. It's clear. You dislike it.
No, that's not what I said.
That's what we said. That's what I heard. Sort of.
I think
it's BK's always hated his guts.
He has.
He was happy. He was happy he got banished to college.
Oh yeah, yes. BK, if you're hearing it here, right here on Show and BK with featuring and Serda, you're hearing it right now. BK was hopeful that he would never get a head coaching job. This is where he was.
I was disappointed they didn't fire him. I can't believe they just allowed him to walk out the building without actually saying he needed to be let go. No, I don't. So I'm going to say this, and Rod's going to be like, see, I don't think Eric Bieniemy is a very good offensive coordinator. I don't think that matters for the Chiefs because that's not the role in Kansas City. The role of offensive coordinator in Kansas City is different than the role of offensive coordinator at UCLA or Washington when he took either of those jobs, or what the role is for offensive coordinator this offseason, for example, in, I don't know, Baltimore or LA or one of these other jobs that would potentially open up. The role of the job in Kansas City is to be the number 2 for Andy Reid. Be his right-hand man. Help him in his blind spots. And right now, it appears some of those blind spots for Andy Reid include the running game and discipline. And if those are 2 blind spots for Andy Reid and the execution is not and was not up to snuff this past season, then I think Eric Bieniemy is a fine hire. I've got no issues with it whatsoever. I think he can help with the things that are plaguing this offense right now. Is he the idealistic hire? Is he the guy that, like, if I was to create somebody in a lab, I would hire him? What Eric Bieniemy brings to the table? Well, no, probably not. But that guy, I don't know that he existed this offseason. And even if he did, his name's probably Nathan Scheelhaus, and he either has opportunities to be a head coach elsewhere, or he has opportunities to go elsewhere and take a job where he's going to be the one that calls the plays. It will exclusively be his offense in his image. And for a lot of offensive minds, that's what they want. I think that's what Mike McDaniel wants. And so he decided to take the job in LA where it's going to be his offense. So I take exception to some of the criticism that has taken place for this hire because I don't think all of it is reasonable. I'm also not overly excited by the hire because I don't think he's a guy that's going to come in here and like overhaul the offense. I don't think that was ever likely to happen though. So I think the hire is absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how I feel about the whole situation.
So not excited either. So you don't really like
no,
Eric either.
like I'm happy that he's back on the staff because I do think that he was an important part of that. Like there's got to be like a checks and balances kind of thing with your coaching staff, and I think like Spags is different because he just has the reins of the defense. But when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, like you want people that are going to be like, hey, Andy, maybe we should try this. Maybe we should implement this. I saw this thing watching film the other day, and I really think that we could execute the hell out of this, and it would be something that could be really successful at. And I don't think that Matt Nagy is that kind of guy. And I think it was insane that he was like that. It was just like assumed that he was going to get a head coaching job. And now maybe that Mike Borgonzi decided to go in a different direction in Tennessee. Maybe that's off the table and he's just got to go get a new job, which is totally fine. He'll get hired by somebody. But Eric Bieniemy at the very least like held guys accountable. And I do think he would say things to Andy. I think that, and Andy Reid has talked about that. Travis Kelce and Mahomes have talked about that like Eric Bieniemy was a lot more involved in the offense than anyone ever gave him credit for, even if Andy Reid was the one that was calling the plays. And now he's coming from Ben Johnson's offense, which I would hope that he has picked some things up from because the Chiefs desperately need some rejuvenation in the run game. And Ben Johnson runs one of the most complex run games in all of the NFL. And so it would be great if they could get some of that stuff in there. But I do think there's also something to the idea that like when we start to see these older coaches like kind of decline and get left behind a little bit, part of that is them not being like, okay, let's go out and find the next young, talented guy who is going to be innovative and find new creative ways to do things, and just running it back with the guys that they know and the guys that they're friendly with. Like, I think that's a lot of what Belichick's downfall was in New England post Brady, was him just surrounding himself with the people that he was comfortable with instead of trying to find like new young guys that were trying to do things differently, because Belichick just wanted to run things and do things the way that he had always done it and the way that he is comfortable. And there's something to all of that. But at the very least, even if Eric Bieniemy is a comfortable hire for Andy Reid, they're making the changes that we wanted them to. I don't think that there was ever a scenario where they were going to bring in a Mike McDaniel. So this was kind of what I always expected. And I'm fine with it. I feel better about the Chiefs offensive staff right now than I certainly did at the end of the regular season.
BK, why do you think he's not a good offensive coordinator?
Because when he's gone elsewhere and had his opportunity to run an offense, I don't think he's done a very good job. And that's okay. Like that doesn't mean he's a bad coach. That doesn't mean he's unqualified for this offensive coordinator position. That doesn't mean I hate Eric Bieniemy. It simply means I don't think Eric Bieniemy is somebody that you can have go elsewhere, run his own offense, and have success in doing so. I think he is somebody that is a really good number two. And in Kansas City, that's his role. He can be an assistant head coach with the run game coordinator position. He can be somebody that is like under Ben Johnson and maximize what they're getting out of the running back room, or come to Kansas City and maximize what they're able to get out of their offense. I think that is the correct role for Eric Bieniemy. I think for his career, he is the kind of guy, and maybe he could be a good head coach. That's entirely possible. Maybe as a CEO type of position, he would actually really succeed in that kind of a role while handing off some of the offensive play calling duties to somebody else. I could see that as well. I don't see him as being a guy that would go on to have like Mike McDaniel's success as an offensive coordinator or those kinds of individuals.
I would just say to that is his two opportunities, which were a season and a half at UCLA in college half the season with college kids, and I don't know how great he is to be with college kids, and then the 1 year with Washington. I understand where people come from with that. I also think I think it's tough to base all of that on the situations he was in. Like I think Eric is probably somebody who his message and his way of doing things probably needs to be heard for more than 1 year to and to weed out the type of guys that he would need in. And I think in both of those cases, he came into pretty tough situations. There really wasn't a situation of like, hey, I'm going to get the type of guys that I want to get in. And I think that is particular for him. So I guess the part where I'm getting with that is one, like I don't think he's had a real fair go of it. Now I don't think he's Mike McDaniel, but I don't think he's had a fair go of it and really had great pieces to live with, right? Like if I'm going to tell you, man, your one-time shot is going to be with a lame duck coach in Sam Howell and the offensive parts that Washington has. Like, and you get to come in and you're just a season. Where Eric seems like his style and what he wants, he probably wants to weed out the wrong people and get the right people in. But all the other stuff you said, I think it absolutely works. And the part that has frustrated me, fellas, is like I think there are a large amount of people that I don't know if they say it. I think they think he's, I don't want to say dumb, but I think there are some people who think that he's not like really a coach because, and Serda used it, and I think it's a quality, but he has been reduced to he's an accountability person. Like he's been reduced to Eric Bieniemy, accountable. That's all. It's as if that's all people think he brings to the table, and I think that people who are against this move are not real fired up with this move. I think some people are convinced, well, he's not bringing anything to the table. All he's bringing in is like punk ass Shady said. You know, all he does is he's just going to come out there and yell at people, and Andy's getting to an age where he doesn't want to do that, so that's just going to be his job. I think that is so unfair. Right, like we heard it. Like I've heard Travis Kelce talk about how creative he is and how much he helps with the offense. I saw Patrick Mahomes in his statement that he said last week of what he wants, basically saying, Eric Bieniemy, I want someone who loves football, that cares about football, that wants to do everything they can to win, to hold people accountable and bring new ideas every single day. Well, he's worked with them. I don't think people believe Eric Bieniemy is bringing new ideas or bringing any ideas to the table. To be honest with you, I think that's where people view that he is just a yell at him guy and a drill sergeant, and I think that is completely unfair. I have, gone stupid and decided to go back and watch a lot of stuff from 2018 to 2022, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what everything means. But I can look at it. The run game looked different. Motions that they use look different. Now, I think Andy had a lot to do with it, but I do find it very interesting that all of a sudden, like one of the big complaints in the run game is, they're in shotgun and they just run and they run the same kind of play up the middle. I'm watching back then. They're running sweeps out of shotgun. They're running different things out of shotgun with running backs. There was versatility in the shotgun game. So, I don't know if that's all him or Andy and them decided to change right after that year and do something different. But I think it's really, really unfair to seem to label that Eric Bieniemy is not actually somebody who coaches and adds things to – as a coordinator or adds things to ideas and plays, that he's just the go off on everybody guy. I think, I'll be honest with you, fellas. You know, I think there's some racial undertones to that I don't think people with Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson and Kafka look at them and think that they don't bring anything to the table, despite that the best years of the offense was when Eric was the coordinator. Like, I don't think people view it that way. So that's just my thing. Is it feels like people have just put him in a box of just accountability guy, and that, like, that's nothing to him. Like, nobody would think that he's had anything to do with the run game with the Bears and Ben Johnson. Like, they would just think it's just Ben Johnson, or BK, that he could go and be in Ben Johnson's offense for a full year and not really pick up anything and bring to the table. That part is something that baffles me.
So I'm in agreement with you. I think people underestimate what he can bring to the table, especially run game wise. I heard all season, like, the biggest thing that people complained about, at least from what I had seen, maybe people that are watching this right now, listening to it, will say, no, that's not what I cared about. And that's fine. I'm speaking for, my perspective that I saw. The running game was terrible this season for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm not pushing back against it. It was atrocious for the entirety of the season. I think that was a personnel issue, and I think it was a scheme issue for the Chiefs. They didn't do anything particularly well. That involves everybody. It's a failure from top to bottom for the running game. I fully anticipate Eric Bieniemy will help in that regard. I think he will get the most out of your running backs because, like, if I think that it was partially a personnel issue this year, I think it also could have been a personnel issue when they had Spencer Ware and Charkandrick West in the backfield.
Killing them.
And they had so much success with those guys. And I think a lot of that is due to what Eric Bieniemy is as a coach. I think he's really good. Like DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is not a guy that people came into the season saying, like, that guy's an amazing running back and he's going to get big-time money in the free agent market. No, he was a guy that people thought the Bears might cut because Ben Johnson reportedly hated him when he coached him with the Detroit Lions. Could not wait to get rid of him there. And so there was a question of, is he going to be available last offseason because of how poorly it went the last time that these two guys were together? Eric Bieniemy is the running backs coach in Chicago, and he was able to maximize the talent that DeAndre Swift had in that backfield. Hell, I personally think DeAndre Swift might be cut this offseason for cap savings purposes, and I think he would be a really good fit in this Chiefs offense. So
I'm open to it.
I think he is a really good guy in that regard. Is he going to completely alter what they do in the passing game? I don't think so, Ron. And that's not me taking shots at Eric Bieniemy. I think the passing game is Andy's. That's his baby. And I don't think anybody that was coming in was tangibly going to change what Andy wants to do. That being said, one thing that is rubbing me the wrong way with this, Ron, is that people seem to believe that because they hired Eric Bieniemy, it's just going to be status quo. Nothing else is going to change. They're just bringing back their guys. This is what the Chiefs do. This is what Andy does. He never goes outside of the cocoon. It's just going to be the same thing, and they clearly haven't learned their lessons. Based upon what? Based upon one hire? Because they also fired the wide receivers coach. They seemingly fired half of the offensive staff.
I mean, everybody.
They said at the end of the season, hey, our running game wasn't good enough. It wasn't allowing us to do what we want to do when it comes to our play action passing game as well. Like, they are very clearly aware that they need to change. And how could they not be? This was a failure for everybody involved. It was Andy's worst season as the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the first time they're picking in the top 10 with him as the head coach. Like, this is very clearly something they know they need to improve upon. So this idea that they're just going to remain stagnant or stick with status quo because of one hire that they made, it's silly to me. And I think it's overreacting to what they did here with Bieniemy.
Yeah, like, I just feel like, too, like, Kyle Monangai was a rookie 7th-round pick for the Bears this season, who was also really good, like, was also just awesome. And that's why, like, like, the Chiefs' top 10 pick, like, I want them to draft a running back, probably not a first-round running back. But, like, that's just like a product of like the Ben Johnson scheme, and also Eric Bieniemy being involved with those running backs, and the just the experience and the coaching that he brings to the table. Like, they were maximizing the talent of those players. I think both of those players are a product of their environment, not particularly that these guys are like overly special running backs, but they were extremely productive for the Bears this season because of the coaching and the situation and the way that they were deploying those guys and the way that they were actually like utilizing them. Whereas like the Chiefs running game this season was like one of the most predictable things in football. Like they couldn't move the ball, and it was like, and then you have the people every week after week who are arguing with you about the efficiency metrics, and it's like, oh well, they never lose yardage, and it's like, yeah, well, they never gain anything that actually matters. Like, it's just 3 yards a carry, and Kareem Hunt on short yardage is absolutely no explosiveness, absolutely no creativity, and the NFL is a league of trends, and as defenses have gotten better and better. And now Mike McDonald is the shiny new coach in the league because he's in a title game on Sunday, and the Seahawks defense has just been incredible this season. Now all of a sudden we're seeing teams after years and years of leaning towards like, we need the young offensive minded coach. Now they're like, let's get the young defensive minded coach because look what they're doing in Seattle. And like all of that stuff's fine, but the biggest trend that I think is going to stick around for a while until the offense surpasses the defense again, because that's inevitable. Like, this stuff happens in the NFL constantly. Like, defense gets really good, slows down offense gets even better and finds ways to attack it and dissect that. And then they surpass the defense, and it just keeps coming in waves and waves and waves. And the biggest thing from the last couple of years with this wave of great defenses in the NFL and defensive overhaul is that you have to be able to run the ball, and you have to be able to run the ball creatively and create like explosive plays. And the Chiefs simply haven't done that in years. And it's part of that's a talent thing, but part of it is also a coaching thing. And then it just goes back to the Andy Reid and just being like, okay, well, we're just going to run the offense, but we know that nobody gives a shit if we run the ball, and then we need Mahomes to go be great. And they just need something else that teams have to account for. They just need something else that gives them an opportunity to do literally anything else on the offensive side of the ball.
But it is wild to me that Eric has been successful and been other places, right? It feels like some people in the fan base and some people I've heard talk, it feels like some people believe that Chad O'Shea, who is, to your point, the new wide receivers coach, who is not from the family, a guy who was in Cleveland and under Stefanski, and then a guy who really was for a long stretch in New England under Josh McDaniel, like a lot, I think a lot of people feel like, oh, now he's the one who's going to really bring something. And it's like, okay, I just like, to your point, they're clearly not going just, oh, we're just going to do what we did. It is just wild to me that people believe that Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy are idiots and cannot adjust or change to anything.
See, that's my thing. Like, I do think Chad O'Shea is a significant hire for the Chiefs. And I'm not saying this because like Bieniemy's incapable, but like I think Bieniemy's going to help more in the running game. I think Chad O'Shea is going to help more in the passing game. O'Shea was a guy that has been a passing game coordinator in his history. He has been a wide receivers coach for basically his entire time at the NFL level. He's coached some of the best receivers in recent NFL history. I mean, he's coached a lot of different guys too. Like, he was somebody that was with like Wes Welker back with the New England Patriots. I saw earlier this week, Rob Gronkowski, who was not a wide receiver, but spent a lot of time apparently with Chad O'Shea, was talking about how important he was for Gronk's career while he was with the Patriots. So I'm excited about what he's going to bring to the table. And I think when you have multiple different voices that are bringing different perspectives to the table, that's what I was looking for this offseason, Ron. Like, I wanted them to do stuff like this. Like, if you're bringing back Bieniemy, cool. just also bring in other guys that can bring in something different. And that's what this is. So if and when they hire a running backs coach, I hope that's another guy that maybe comes from a little bit of a different background and he can bring other things to the table that they didn't have within the room previously. So this was very clearly an offensive staff that needed an overhaul. It needed a jolt to the system. And I think bringing back Bieniemy helps with that. I think bringing in Chad O'Shea will certainly help with that. I like the direction that they're heading in right now.
Yeah, I do. I like it. I'm excited. There are some people that are down on Eric Bieniemy, but and the way the staff is coming together, I guess, in some spaces. But I would just say, like in particular with the coordinator, I think he fits a lot of things that I'm just saying I would look at the offenses from the ones they've been running the last couple of years and the ones they've been running before. And he had a year without Tyreek Hill. And he had games without Tyreek Hill. Like during the time, and maybe Andy was the one that was more creative then, but during the times that he was the coordinator, the offense just looked different. I'm talking before, not even just big play stuff. The amount of motions they used, when they used motions, the way they ran, how they looked, it just looked completely different at the time that he was there. And this team, obviously, as you mentioned, you won't hear it. The run game was absolutely abysmal this year. And they often seemed like they didn't really have urgency or at times confused on what it is that they were doing. And offensively, they would routinely just seem to be in the wrong spots in the bad areas. And I think a part of that is with your offensive coordinator. And so I think those are things that are his strength.
I think it's a really good point, Ron. And I would just bring this into the conversation as well. Like, how many times in recent seasons have we talked about the Chiefs wide receivers not being on the same page with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
And that was not something you saw very much. And it wasn't just Tyreek Hill, but it was not something you really saw early and really the entirety of Eric Bieniemy's tenure here. I think that's a relevant piece to the conversation. Like that 2022 offense was probably my favorite Chiefs offense that we've seen in this era, just because of how unexpected it was, how efficient they were. They were awesome in every possible way. And that was an Eric Bieniemy offensive coordinator season. I wanted to bring up one last thing on this, Ron. I think it is important to note, and you did, I think, mention this at the very beginning, but just to spend a little extra time on it. I think it is important and relevant to note how much Travis Kelce has been an outspoken supporter of Eric Bieniemy at every turn. He has mentioned him in the past unprompted. He has said he's one of his favorite coaches ever. He said earlier this week on his podcast that he can't wait to see him back in the room, which seems to indicate that maybe Travis Kelce is going to be back next season. I don't know if that's because of this or if that's, related to this, or just he's excited to see Eric Bieniemy back. Whatever the case may be, I think sometimes we on the outside think we know more than we actually do. And I think we should give some credence to what they think in that room. And it's very clear they view Eric Bieniemy as being a significant and important voice that was missing over the last few years. And if that's good enough for Travis Kelce, and it's very clearly good enough for Patrick Mahomes, because I don't think this hire happens, I agree with you, Ron, without his sign-off, it's good enough for me, man.
Yeah, I think he was viewed as an important part to that, in everything that he brought to the table. And again, as I said earlier, I'll throw him in there too. It is really odd to me that there are so many people that are within, what do we call it, the Chiefs' kingdom, that aren't on board with something that Andy, Pat, and Travis are so on board with. Like so on board with those three guys. There are people like, no, they don't know what they like. I'm gonna move on. I am just blown away because I feel like, Serda, you're borderline in this camp. The amount of people who are like, yeah, man, I think we need to rip this thing to the studs, man. I think we need to tear this offense thing down, man, and rip it up.
You think that's how I feel?
I just think, I mean, I think
that's not how I feel at all.
You're closer to that. I think like the amount of
no, I mean, you want to have that. You want to have that conversation about the defense, maybe. I don't feel that way about the offense.
Okay, you want to rip the defense. Okay,
I'm just saying, like they gotta get younger. Like they gotta have a plan for post Chris Jones.
But that's not even the studs. That's not even the part I'm talking about, sir. I'm talking about like people feel like they should go and hire somebody like Mike McDaniel or Cliff Kingsbury to come in and work with.
And then you gotta fire Andy Reid.
but it doesn't feel like people think that they need to bring a type that in to work with Andy about how to put together a new offense. And that is just crazy to me.
But see, Cliff would I think would even be fun, but the problem with both of those guys is that they're gonna be head coaches again. They're the type of offensive coordinators that think I am only an offensive coordinator until I get my next head coaching opportunity. And that's not what they're afraid that if they come here, then you get the typical, Andy Reid does everything. Andy Reid calls all the plays. It's his offense. Then you don't get the credit, which is kind of weird because prior to Eric Bieniemy, those guys did still get head coaching jobs. So I don't even really know why that's a thing. But I understand it for them specifically because they've been head coaches and they're still young coaches relative to most of Andy Reid's coaching staff. So I get all of that.
So one other thing that I wanted to get to here, Ron, this is a really important year for Andy. And I think he knows that because I can back Andy all day long right now. I am an Andy Reid supporter. I believe in him. I think he's going to get this thing back on track. Like I absolutely have faith that guy's going to have the answers this year that get this Chiefs offense back to what it once was. And also, if it doesn't, if this offseason with the staff changes and the personnel changes that we're all expecting on the offensive side of the ball do not result in them being a good offense again. And that doesn't mean elite. That doesn't mean they have to be the number one offense in the league, but a good offense that looks the part again. And with Patrick Mahomes, it feels more similar to what it did in the past. If that doesn't happen this season, there will be legitimate questions with Andy Reid. And there will be questions of, hey, man, like this happens to everybody eventually. It happened to Bill. It happened to Pete Carroll. It could happen to Andy eventually. Did the game pass him by? Has he run out of answers for what defenses are now presenting to him? I don't feel that way right now. I think he will have the answers that are necessary. And my faith in his pick of Eric Bieniemy as the next offensive coordinator is basically related to that. I think he knows what is necessary to get this thing back on track. If it doesn't work this year, though, we're going to have some very uncomfortable conversations about what that means for Andy Reid and his tenure as the Chiefs coach. I just don't think that conversation is now. I think we're a year away from having that.
Yeah, and I would say, even though people don't feel it, I could put it, like I think it's on paper. Like, up until the injury to his quarterback, what you described, the Chiefs in many metrics were that. Like they were a good offense. They were the seventh. They're the number 7 in total offense. With the after the Chargers game, they were sitting at number 7 in total offense. You rattle off whatever the EPA stuff is, like where they were many parts of the season, and that was in last year's thing with all the stuff that they had going on there and all of the issues they had from injuries to suspensions to everything. They were that last year. And I believe they're probably going to have a better fit overall offensively and some other talent and growth. So, I mean, they were able to be that last year, and they weren't that great. All right. I want to get this off my chest because I feel like Serda is into this. I saw Mel Kiper put out his his first mock draft, and he had fake Fernando Mendoza number 1 to the Raiders. That's Fernando is going to trick somebody.
I don't know, man. He won me over with that touchdown run in the national championship game.
I don't think I knew this.
Play.
Yeah, I'm not a Fernando fan. Not that I don't like the guy. He feels like the ceiling of Kirk Cousins to me, and
I think he's Matt Ryan. How do you feel about that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And I think he's a politician. That comes up with talking points that he's ready to speak with, and I can't wait to see how that plays in an NFL locker room. Now he's tough. That touchdown run, that's tough, and that is. But like you go watch his. Me and my wife die over it. All right, hey, thank you, Holly. I'm telling you, it was a great game. We did such a good job, and I mean, we are coming together. And thanks to Coach Signetti, he did such a great job, and we come together as a team of one. All guys were misfits all over the place. We come in, and we came here to Bloomington. We love the people of Bloomington. For me, I was a 2-star recruit out of Miami that they didn't bring over, and they brought over, and he believed in me, and it was great. We would go to war. I would die for this team, man.
They just went 16-0 at fucking Indiana.
Show the cameraman your arm. Here it is. It is.
I gotta tell you, that was a spot-on impression. I say that as somebody that likes Fernando Mendoza. That's exactly what his interview sounded like.
My wife is in PR, and she's watching him. He does it. He does like a politician and shifts back to his talking point. When Holly Rowe asked him about his arm, he said, "Yes, it is my arm, but I would die for my brothers because it's a brotherhood, and this is what we've been taught here." And he pulls it back to his. It's the weirdest thing, and I don't know if his style plays in the locker room, and I don't know he's as talented enough to overcome it, and he's either going to be a Raider or a Jet, and I just don't get the feel like. Joe Burrow kind of has that deal where, all right, he can drag, through trash and drag through a team that is traditionally, in turmoil. Like he can work through dysfunction and rise through it. And like he is somebody that like people want to sit next to, in the locker room and eat with. Fernando, like I don't know that plays. It's like a Tebow thing, but it's even more like happy go. It's just odd, man. Like I just like he looks like the best way that the analogy I could give. He looks like he would, if he made it to the NBA in his first game on a foul, try to get everybody to come together to huddle at the free throw line like they do in college. And everybody would be looking at him like, "Hey, man, dude, chill out." Like, "Hey, man, chill out." So, anyway, he had Fernando. Sorry about my spill on Fernando. I'm just not. I don't think he's got to have the right coach. He's got to have the right system. I don't love Fernando. Anyway, but he had the Chiefs selecting Jeremiah Love, and I know Serda would flip his lid. And I'll be honest with you. I would not be happy. Now I will convince myself to get there, and it will take one highlight to get me there.
About it. It'll be fun. It's not a smart pick, probably.
Thank you.
For wins, but it would be fun as hell.
The only way that I could be accepted to this is if Brett Veach had a hell of an offseason and I think he will try to do a lot of this, but Brett Veach would have to have filled so many spots in free agency to where they get to a point of like, hey, we have the pass rusher that we need. We have the linebacker that we need to replace Drew Tranquil or something. We have the safety that we desperately need, so we don't need to draft a Caleb Downs. We got a defensive tackle that we feel good about. They just have some spots that they need to fill in that I just think with this offense and the guy we've been talking about, Eric Bieniemy, I feel like as you just went through some of the, like we can go through some of these backs. There's a Williams in there. Hell, I watched the tape. Ronald Jones got him a couple of touchdowns in there and was running a little bit. I mean, we can go through different guys that Eric Bieniemy has been able to get the absolute best out of, whether he was the running backs coach with guys like Jamal Charles or he was the offensive coordinator with guys like you mentioned earlier, Charkandrick West or either one of the Williams guys. So I definitely do not think that is the route. We've talked about it before. I think we talked about it last week. We put the scenario of the free agents that are potentially there that you could pair up with a later pick. And I just don't think it's going to be possible for them to have filled all the voids, like really filled all the voids where it's just like, all right, man, hell, man, just grab the best player. Like I can't get with that.
I think one thing that people are going to have to come to terms with is where are you willing to go light? Because you're going to have to go light somewhere. And this is the reality when you've got a quarterback on the deal that Patrick Mahomes is on. Even though he's willing to move money around, all these different things, like you're going to have to go light somewhere. That might mean right tackle. Like, are you cool with next year them going with somebody that you're not 100% sure is ready to go as a good starter at right tackle? Maybe it's wide receiver. Are you cool with it just being, hey, Worthy, Rice, and then we'll figure it out from there? Maybe Jalen Royals, Juju, like a combination of those guys once again. Are you good with going into next season and not feeling great about your safety rotation? Brian Cook, free agent. Is it going to be Jaden Hicks and Shamari Connor as your starting safeties next year? Are you good with going into next year with a linebacker that you don't love? Are you good with next year going into the season with your running back position? Like whatever it is, something's going to have to be light, maybe multiple somethings. The easiest position to fill is running back because you can get that through free agency on the cheap and get a really good player in doing so at like $10 million.
That you know what he's going to be.
Yeah, you could go get Kenneth Walker, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier, Kenneth Gainwell. I mentioned earlier, DeAndre Swift maybe becomes available. And that's a half dozen names I just mentioned that are all really good football players that could be quite good in this offense next year and are a significant upgrade from what you had in 2025. You could do that. Then you could draft a guy in, I don't know, the 4th round. He could become a really good football player. Maybe then you go sign Kenneth Gainwell just as an extra addition that can help you on passing downs, especially as that 4th round running back starts to get up to form. Maybe he takes over later in the season and then next year becomes your starter. Like
you're not going to keep throwing Kenneth Gainwell in here. Like this is 2 weeks that you have tried to fire.
I think Kenneth Gainwell is a chief. I think he's going to be a chief.
You slid Kenneth Gainwell in last week, and you slid him in there. I remember Serda said,
"I will not apologize. It's a good pickup. You can get him for a couple $1 million."
As a pass catcher, it's not a terrible idea.
He'd be your number 3 running back.
But there better be a better plan in place.
Yeah, he's not a starter.
Gainwell. Yeah,
you bring him in, and he can be your 3rd down back. Like,
are we just done with Brashard Smith, the person that everybody was asking?
No, I actually think Brashard could have a role.
Sure, I'm fine either way. I don't care. He's a 7th round pick. If you want him to be gone next year, I'm fine with that. If you just need to upgrade the position, do that. Do that.
I feel like Chiefs fans were chasing that like Brashard Smith was gonna like get some touches down the stretch, and then all of a sudden be like, "Oh, this is what we've been looking for all season." Like, no, man. Like,
hey, you know who does all of the things that Chiefs fans want Brashard Smith to do? Kenneth Gainwell. He already does them. I know he's good at it. He can pass protect. He's good he's good at going out and like catching the football. He's good at actually running the football, and they will trust him to do all of those things because I've seen multiple coaching staffs and Aaron Rodgers trust him to do all of those things. That is not an easy thing to do to get Aaron Rodgers to trust you as a running back. So yeah, like if they want to sign him and decide, you know what, Brashard Smith, thanks for your time, you're going to go elsewhere now, I'm fine with that. I've got no issues.
I was going to say, if you're bringing in Kenneth Gainwell, that's pretty much what you're doing with Brashard.
Cool,
Smith.
I'm good with that. That's what they should do. In fact, I'm advocating it. They should do that this offseason. I'm just going to stop pretending I'm not. I'm advocating they move on from Brashard Smith and bring in Kenneth Gainwell.
Hey, do you remember the Brashard Smith supporters who were banging down the door talking about he needs to get more carries. And then when he got all those they got those carries in that Raiders game, and people were acting like they saw explosive 8-yard runs. Like
I remember.
He should have been playing all year. But he got 7 yards.
I've taken a long time to make my point on this. My point is this. They should not take a running back at number 9 overall. They should not do that. There are too many other positions that they need, and there are too many other ways that you can solve the running back position easier. There is no other way to solve the defensive end position other than number 9. There's no other way really for this team to solve the wide receiver position other than taking a guy at number 9 overall. So if you want to have solutions to these expensive and difficult positions to fill, not just for 2026, but long-term, the place to do so is at number 9 overall. So yeah, I would not take a running back there.
I think the clear home run in this draft, and I think Steve Spagnuolo would lay over train tracks to get it. The clear home run for this team with everything that they need and what they want to do and the type that they like is Reuben Bain Jr. Like that is, when you're talking about Jeremiah, I love all that. And I saw in that mock draft, he had him going 7. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be that upset if Reuben failed a drug test or something. I just like, I don't hope that for the kid, but I wouldn't like if that could drop or something. They've got to figure if they can. They can find a way to.
Are they even doing those anymore? It's illegal, like everywhere in America.
I hope so. I hope
it's got to be like performance enhancing or something now.
Well, I'll take that too.
Should have
anything to drop him. I mean, we were able to pull that Justin Houston thing off. So like,
he by the way, Ron, that's the guy he reminds me of.
Yes,
he reminds me so much of what Justin Houston was.
Oh, it like I watched him over the playoff and throughout the year, but especially over the playoff. Like I could feel Spags salivating. Like I could feel Spags losing his mind, and he is everything. What is he? 6'3", 275. That's everything that he wants in an edge rusher. The complete perfect body type. He is excellent against the run. He is powerful at the point of attack. He can rush the passer. He can come around the corner. Like that is everything they need. And I'm telling you, I would entertain moving up to get him because they need that. And that is exactly what they need, that body type. They need that so bad. Right. I think they need multiple pass rushers. Hell, I like his teammate that was on the other side too, but I don't know if that's the type and the size. But I just think due to the type of edge rushers, size, everything they're looking for, like it just doesn't get any more perfect than what this kid brings to the table. And it's to me with a dart their number one need. And I think they got to think serious of making that happen. Now I don't know that I would give up whatever the Jags gave up to get Travis. Travis, what's his name?
Hunter.
Travis Hunter to go up. I don't know if that was multiple first round picks, but I don't like if Kuiper's board holds up and he's got to go up to 6 or 7. I know to go get him. Like that to me is worth it. That is something to think about because I just think that whoever this is at 9 has to be a bona fide person that you know you're going to give a second contract to and you know is going to work and it's going to work right now. And I think there are some guys up there that fit this, but that dude right there, that is the number one that fits exactly what they need and what they want.
And the Chiefs have 6 picks, right, in the upcoming draft. So, like, that doesn't seem like a ton of picks because they've had some years recently where they had a lot more draft picks than that. But Brett Veach, his entire time as general manager, has always had at least 6 draft picks. You've never had the type of like ammunition that you've had in Brett Veach's tenure as a number 9 overall pick and a top 10 pick. And on top of that, your second round pick is a high pick. Your round pick is a high pick. And so, like, if you're going to go out and be aggressive and make some moves, and we've seen Veach do this before when his back was against the wall and they had to go make some moves and rebuild things in a hurry to make sure that they capitalized on the window that they were in. Like, this is the offseason to go do it. Go be aggressive and go do it and go make it happen. Like, stop. It has been frustrating in years past. Like we talked about it, like at the trade deadline this year, where they just like sat back and didn't do anything. Like, I get it when you only have 6 picks. It's different if you have like 8 or 9 or something like that. But when you only have 6 picks, I can understand it a little bit more. But now's the time you go do it. You go do it when young players are on the line and you're rebuilding certain cornerstones of your roster.
And the other thing that you could do, like it doesn't take that much. It could probably take your 3rd round pick. Like I'm looking at the NFL draft chart right now, and you can look this up. Just Google NFL trade value chart, and then you can kind of play around with it and see what would it take to move up, move down. How could they move up and down the board? For the Chiefs to get up to 6, they'd probably have to give up their 3rd round selection, 74 overall. So it's 9 plus 74. You move up to 6. You could get Ruben Bain, for example. And the reason why that's not as bad, maybe as it sounds on the surface, to Serda's point, you pick at 40 in the 2nd round. What you could do then, trade down from 40. You go from 40 to like 50, just using them as an example because it's even and it's the Vikings have some interesting picks here. The Vikings are picking number 50 overall. And so you're dropping down 10 spots. For them to do so, they would have to give up. They have 2 3rd round picks. One of those is a comp pick at 97. So you'd give up 50 and 97 to move up to 40. So you would still have another 3rd round pick. You basically drop down 10 spots in the 2nd and about 20 spots in the 3rd to move up a couple of spots in the 1st to get the guy that you're looking for. But you end up with the same number of selections. So you could do this to where you still end up with a decent number of picks. And that's the value of having these top 9 or 10 selections in every round, is that you can then play the board more than they've been able to in the past. Because previously, man, you're talking about picking 31, 32 overall. And that's not just the case in the 1st round. You also lack draft capital as the draft continues from there.
But I also would say there's also the thing that's lurking, and I get the feeling they're going to have more than 6 picks. I think the thing that's lurking is Trent McDuffie. And what potentially does that add? Right? Like, does that add another 1 and a 3? Does that add a 2 and a 3 or something like I think that is something that is lurking too, that adds to the potential draft capital that they have, because that's something you can see happening. So that's something to keep in the back of our minds of what else could add. Because if they were to add another 1 and something to get Trent McDuffie, now you're feeling a lot better about what you can do. If you're sitting there with 9 and another 1 and 40, like you've got a lot of ammo.
And Ron, you mentioned like your guy is Ruben Bain. I love him. I think he's amazing. And I'd be thrilled if that's the pick, either at 9 or moving up, whatever it ends up being. Like I'm happy if Ruben Bain is the selection for them. The thing is with this draft, I actually think it sets up really well for what the Chiefs need. And this is why I would not be interested in them doing the Jeremiah Love thing. It's fun. It's an exciting idea if you don't take into account like any of the opportunity cost. If you just said, hey, would you like Jeremiah Love on the Chiefs in 2026? My answer is yes. That'd be awesome. But it's not a smart way to build your football team, because I would also be thrilled if David Bailey, the defensive end from Texas Tech, was on the 2026 Chiefs.
No, he's actually my favorite. I just know what Spags loves and what he wants to. Yeah.
Keldrick Folk, defensive end out of Auburn. I think he's a really good football player as well. Wide receiver, there's 3 of them that could be interesting at number 9. Carnell Tate from Ohio State, Jordan Tyson from Arizona State, and Mekhi Lemon, who played at USC. And then just the one other guy that I am actually kind of interested in. It's not a position of great strength. It's not a position you would generally speaking take in the top 10, I love Caleb Downs. I think that guy is a culture setter. I think he might be a top 3 overall player in this year's draft, like regardless of position. If they decided to take, you know what, we're taking Caleb Downs. We think he's the best player in the draft. We think he's going to be Kyle Hamilton for our defense. I'd be cool with that as well. Those are the 7 guys to me that, like, just write it in pen. One of those 7 probably should be the pick.
Yeah, he's a stud. And I wouldn't mind that either. But it's got to be somebody bona fide that is going to be here past a second contract. Right? And you're okay with paying that. Like running backs past the second contract, sometimes you don't know if you're okay with paying that. And I'll be damned if they pull up an Ashton Genty. Like that would, like, I think he has a chance to be good, but that ain't enough. Like I think that the Raiders were foolish for doing that, and with all the things that they need on their team. All right, what's the feel about these championship games this week? What's the Super Bowl this week? I think it's going to be the 2
Patriots. Patriots are going to beat the Broncos.
I was going to say, I think it's going to be. I don't know if it's obvious. I think that game's going to be closer than people think. I think Denver's defense is
probably going to be. It's probably going to be close, but the Patriots are going to win. Let's be real.
I think Denver's defense is better. Patriots defense is really good. I think Denver's defense is going to give them the game.
A monster since he came back.
And I know he's a dickhead, but Sean Payton will probably have, Stidham in that offense in the best play possible. Is J.K. Dobbins? Is he gonna? I know they opened up.
He might.
He may go.
So, thing to keep in mind though with these, like they're opening up all of these IR guys. There's no downside to doing so because now the return to play is within that 21-day period, no matter what, if you end up in the Super Bowl. So even if they don't activate them, there's no real downside to start that timeline now. So I have no idea if he will or not, but just keep that in mind as you're projecting whether or not this guy's going to play. There's no real downside to avoiding that.
I think it's going to be the 2 that are going to finish 1-2 in the MVP race. I think it's Rams Patriots.
Interesting. I think right now I'd go Patriots Seahawks, repeat of a Super Bowl we've seen before. That Seahawks defense is just playing at such a high level, and the Rams offense has been leaking oil in recent weeks. If they can't keep Stafford upright, I really worry about what he's going to be in the second half of this game. He's been coming out hot, and then the second half, he's not played all that well. So I like the Rams. I hope that they win. I would rather see them in the Super Bowl, but I've got Patriots in a close game. I do think the Broncos cover. I think this is within 5 points. And then I'll take the Seahawks and also a really close game, a fun game to watch. I think that one goes a little over the point total.
So I'm going to pick the Patriots. I just think Drake May is going to make the plays that he has to like get them over the hump. But I do think I'm going to take the Seahawks. And a month ago, I thought the Rams were the best team in football. And their defense has just not been very good. So it's not even about the offense. Like, all of a sudden, like, people are talking about like, oh, the Seahawks or the Rams wide receivers look slow in Chicago. And it's like, bad field conditions at one of the notoriously worst fields in the entire NFL. Yeah, they probably looked a little sluggish there. But it's going to be better on Sunday. And so I think these teams have already played twice. They've both been incredible games. I think it's going to be awesome. But the Rams defense has just been not good. Like, it just hasn't been good. And they have the personnel to be a lot better than they are. Like, they've been a bit of a letdown this season. So I think their offense is really special. But I just think that Seattle is playing so well right now. Like, I think Sam Darnold is going to – he made some throws last week, even though he barely threw the football, but he made the throws that he had to. And their defense has just been so dominant. Kenneth Walker has been great. I just think Seattle is playing better overall right now.
Yeah. Seattle got their asses smoked by this offense without Devontae Adams the last time they played. I mean, Stafford's nearing 500 yards, wasn't it? Yeah, 457 and 3 touchdowns. No picks. Puka, they had no answer. He had 225 without Devontae. There was no Devontae Adams. He did not play in that game. So I don't know. Like I think this is, and Sam made plays in that game for them to. And if you remember, like they should not have won that game. You know that they had the weird punt return from Shaheed that kind of jumped things off, and then they had that weird touchdown or 2-point conversion.
2-point, yeah,
where he just happened to just pick up the ball and happened to be walking across because it was thrown backwards. Like there was a lot that had to happen, and the reason why this game is being played in Seattle, a lot had to happen. I don't know. I think the Rams are the better team, and I'll take the better coach and quarterback combo. All right. Hey, like and subscribe, please. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Help us out here. And we are out.